Greetings everyone, welcome to my channel where students of biology like you and I are simply interested in learning more. In this video, I will be covering the 9700 February-March 2021 paper 1-2 and please do leave a like and subscribe so that more students are able to find and benefit from this video. Let's then dive straight into it. And there are 40 questions which I will be discussing. The first question is on onion cells and they have given the photomicrograph. They have given the actual length labeled y, which is 350 micrometers, and they're asking for the magnification. So magnification is nothing but image size upon actual size, and the actual size is 350 micrometers. And when you measure this whole length of this onion cell, which is labeled as y, you will get 140,000 micrometers. So 140,000 micrometers upon 350 will give you 400. So that's the magnification. Answer is D. The second question, they're asking about which structures are present in typical plant cells and in typical prokaryotic cells. So in both of them. So centrioles are present only in animal cells. 70S ribosomes. So 70S ribosomes are present in plant cells due to presence in chloroplasts and in prokaryotic cells. So that's obviously the answer. C. Lysosomes are found mostly in animal cells, and cellulose cell walls are only in plant cells, because in cell walls of prokaryotic cells are made up of a different substance, which is murine, which is a peptidoglycan substance. Question 3, they're asking which letter identifies cell structures where semi-conservative replication of DNA occurs. So semi-conservative replication occurs in all three of them: chloroplast, mitochondria and nuclei. So answer is A. Fourth question, which parts of a cell contain ribosomes? So the keyword here is which parts contain ribosomes. So not all of them contain ribosomes. Chloroplast contains 70S, mitochondria contains 70S, Golgi body doesn't have ribosomes, and cytoplasm has 80S. Therefore 1, 2 and 4, which is C. Which range of cell diameters is typical for prokaryotic cells? Question 5. So prokaryotic cell diameter is in the range of 0.5 to 5 micrometers, which is this range in B. Which row shows a combination of molecules that could be found together in a single isolated virus? So over here they're referring to virus, and virus consists of a nucleic acid core and a protein core. It doesn't have any carbohydrates. Therefore the answer is D, since no carbohydrates and it has DNA and protein. Question 7. A student carried out 4 biochemical tests on a sample of food. The tests are emulsion, Benedict's, biuret and iodine. Emulsion test is for fats, Benedict's test is for sugars, biuret test is for proteins and iodine test is for starch. Emulsion is cloudy, therefore fats are present. Benedict's test is yellow, so it cannot be glucose being present, as if glucose is present, the observation should be brick red. Biuret is purple, so therefore the test shows that protein is present. Answer is C. Iodine is yellow, so if iodine is yellow, that means starch is obviously not present, as if starch is present, the iodine should give out a blue-black color. Therefore option D is wrong and the answer is C. Question 8. Which diagram represents a molecule of alpha glucose? So in alpha glucose, the OH group or the hydroxyl group lies below the plane, which is there in A and B. However, in C and D, the OH group lies above the plane, therefore it's not alpha glucose, but rather beta glucose. In A and B, so if you have to choose between A and B, in B there are 2 OH groups which lie side by side, which is wrong. Therefore the answer is A. Question 9. Which statements about glycosidic bonds are correct? Condensation between glucose and fructose uses water. That's totally wrong, because condensation doesn't use water but rather releases water, and hydrolysis uses water. Therefore A is wrong, as it has 1. So wherever 1 is present, the answers are wrong. So A and B is wrong. Now we have to consider between C or D. So if you look at option 4, amylose contains beta 1,6 glycosidic bonds. That's wrong, because amylose only has alpha glucose and not beta. Therefore the answer is C. Question 10. A triglyceride has 1 bonds formed by joining fatty acids to 2. So which row correctly completes this sentence? So a triglyceride is nothing but when 3 fatty acids are joined to one glycerol molecule by ester bonds. Therefore it should have ester bonds, which is either option A or C. And it is formed by joining fatty acids to glycerol, not glycine. Therefore the answer is C. So question 11. The diagram shows a phospholipid molecule divided into 3 regions, X, Y and Z. R in region X represents a range of possible chemical groups. Regions X, Y and Z affect the properties of a cell surface membrane in different ways. Which row shows the effect of each region on the properties of a cell surface membrane? So the keywords are the effect of each region on the properties of a cell surface membrane. So phosphate group attracts water molecules as it is polar. So the phosphate group over here is region X. Double bonds in the fatty acid tails increases permeability. So as you can see in region Z, there is a kink or rather a bent tail. So that refers to increased permeability due to increased fluidity. So increases permeability of hydrophobic region, that should have Z, and attracts water molecules as we mentioned above, it's region X. Therefore the answer is D. Question 12. Which statement about collagen is correct? So some key things you should know about collagen molecules is that collagen molecule consists of 3 polypeptide chains, which are each in the shape of a helix but not alpha helix. Therefore option B is wrong, and as it is not tightly wound, instead 3 coils to form a triple helix. So 3 helices are held together by hydrogen bonds. So the answer is C. If you look at the other options, tissues containing collagen fibers cannot stretch. Well, their main purpose is to withstand the forces that pull them. Therefore, they'll stretch a little bit, but not much. B, as we mentioned, it's wrong due to mention of alpha helix, whereas it doesn't form an alpha helix. D, 3 polypeptide chains form a single collagen fiber. It's wrong because collagen fibers are formed from fibrils, which are formed when collagen molecules lie alongside another collagen molecule. Question 13. Catechol is a chemical found in a number of fruits. Catechol can be oxidized to quinone by the enzyme catechol oxidase. So it is inhibited by PHBA, which is structurally similar to catechol. In the presence of PHBA, the Km value increases. So a key thing to remember is when Km value increases, that means the enzyme affinity decreases. And if it's a competitive inhibitor, the Km increases, hence affinity towards enzyme decreases. Vmax stays the same. Now they have given some options and they're asking how does PHBA inhibit catechol oxidase. So option 1, PHBA and catechol can both bind to the enzyme but not at the same time. Yes, because it's a competitive inhibitor, so they bind towards the active site. So they both bind to the enzyme but they cannot bind at the same time. So 1 is correct. PHBA is a non-competitive inhibitor of catechol oxidase. That's wrong because PHBA is a competitive inhibitor. PHBA decreases the Vmax of the reaction. No, because since it's a competitive inhibitor, Vmax stays the same. Therefore, the answer is option B. 1 only. Question 14. Which statements about the fluid mosaic model of a membrane are correct? So option 1. The movement of phospholipids in the membrane is reduced if the fatty acid tails are saturated. That is correct. Glycoproteins in the outer layer in the membrane can move. That's also correct because fluid mosaic model is where the phospholipid molecules and proteins are able to move within their own monolayers, and mosaic is due to its scattered pattern. Hence the proteins are not fixed in a position. Therefore option 3 is wrong, as option 3 says channel proteins are fixed in position, which is totally wrong. Therefore the answer is B. Question 15. Diagram 1 and diagram 2 show how the transverse section through a leaf changes when the leaf is moved from solution X to solution Y. Which row describes the water potential of the leaf cells and surrounding solutions in diagram 2 compared with diagram 1? So they are asking about the water potential difference between diagram 1 and diagram 2 and between the solutions. So as you can see in diagram 2, the solution has to be less negative due to more higher water potential in the solution in diagram 2. Therefore, less negative is option A or C. And if you look at the water potential of leaf cells in diagram 2, the leaf cells are less flaccid but rather more turgid. Therefore, the water potential has to be higher, hence less negative, because when the water potential is high, leaf cell has to be less negative. Less negative means high water potential, more negative means lower water potential. Therefore, option A is the answer. Question 16. Which features must always be present for water to move between two solutions by osmosis? So remember that osmosis is the movement of water molecules across a partially or selectively permeable membrane down a water potential gradient. So what is required is obviously option 3, which is a selectively permeable membrane and a water potential gradients. So the answer is D, 3 and 4. Question 17. When living pancreatic cells were placed in a solution of a red stain called neutral red, the cytoplasm became red. The cells were then removed from the solution of neutral red. The red stain in the cytoplasm moved into vesicles which were exported from the cell, eventually leaving the cell colorless. Which transport mechanisms could explain how the red stain entered and left the cells? So, how did the red stain leave the cells? The red stain left the cell by exocytosis, as vesicle formation is done. So if vesicle formation is done, that's related to either endocytosis or exocytosis. However, since it says exported from the cell, that means it's released, leaving the cell colorless. Therefore, it has to be exocytosis. It enters the cell by diffusion. Therefore, the answer is B. Question 18. DNA molecules in a eukaryotic cell must be packaged compactly because their combined length is much greater than the diameter of the nucleus. Which structures are required during the process of packaging DNA molecules compactly? So, in order to pack DNA molecules close together, histone proteins is the main requirement. Therefore, the answer is C. Question 19. Which statements about mitosis are correct? So, one thing you should note about mitosis is that mitosis is involved in growth, cell replacement, tissue repair, producing genetically identical cells, and asexual reproduction. So, if you go through these options, option 1, mitosis results in genetically identical cells, that's correct. Option 2, mitosis is involved in asexual reproduction, that's correct. Mitosis occurs immediately after cytokinesis is wrong because it occurs before cytokinesis. And option 4, mitosis can be used to repair damaged cells, that's wrong because mitosis is involved in cell replacement and not repairing of cells, because it repairs tissues but not cells. For cells, it's cell replacement. Therefore, option 4 is obviously wrong. So A has 4, B has 4, and D has 4. Therefore, the correct option is C, which is 1 and 2. Question 20. A human chromosome is made up of different parts. Some parts of a typical human chromosome are more numerous than others. Which parts are listed in order from least numerous to most numerous in a human white blood cell? So white blood cells are either phagocytes or lymphocytes, and they all have a nucleus. Proteins are most numerous due to nucleus being made from histone proteins. Hence, the answer is A. Question 21. A piece of double-stranded DNA containing 12 into 10 to the power 3 nucleotides is transcribed and translated to produce a single polypeptide. What is the maximum number of amino acids in this polypeptide? So they have given double-stranded DNA. Therefore, two strands has 12 into 10 to the power 3 nucleotides. Therefore, in order to get for one strand, you need to divide by 2. The total number of nucleotides divided by 2 will give you the number of nucleotides in one strand. That answer you divide by 3 to get the number of amino acids, as 3 nucleotide bases form 1 amino acid in translation. If you remember the process of translation, 3 bases, they form 1 amino acid. Hence, the answer is C, 2 into 10 to the power 3. Question 22. Which statements about complementary base pairing are correct? So cytosine forms 2 hydrogen bonds with guanine. That's wrong because cytosine and guanine are bonded by triple bonds. Hence 3 hydrogen bonds are required, and A bonds with T due to double bonds. Therefore option 1 is wrong. If you go through the answers, A, B and C, all of them have option 1. Hence the correct answer should be D. Purines and pyrimidines are different sizes. That's correct. Adenine forms the same number of hydrogen bonds with thymine as it does with uracil. That's also correct because A bonds with T and A bonds with U. The base pairs in a molecule of DNA of equal length and equal width. That's also correct. Base pairs of equal size. Question 23. What are the products when a DNA molecule replicates? So when a DNA molecule replicates, you get 2 DNA molecules. So each DNA molecule is formed from a sequence of paired nucleotides. It's not paired bases but rather paired nucleotides. Therefore 2 molecules of DNA each made of a sequence of paired nucleotides is the correct answer. So option B. Question 24. Which descriptions apply to phloem sieve tube elements and to xylem vessel elements? So both of them obviously have no nucleus. Therefore the option should be D, because cytoplasm is present in phloem and no involves are present only in xylem vessels. Therefore it's not present in both of them, but rather no nucleus is present in both of them. Question 25. Some of the parts of a plant root involved in water transport are listed. So as you can see, 1 Casparian strip, 2 cell walls of cortex cells, 3 endodermal cells, 4 epidermal cells, 5 xylem vessels. Which sequence shows part of a pathway through which water can move across a root? It starts across the cell walls of cortex cells. In order to move across a root, it should start from cell walls of cortex cells. So we should consider between options A and B. So if you look at options A and B, it cannot be B because 1 represents Casparian strip and Casparian strip doesn't allow the movement of water. So the answer is A. Question 26. What is an example of a mass flow system in a plant? Mass flow occurs in translocation in phloem sieve tubes in plants. Therefore, if you go through these options, option B is the correct answer. The movement of sap through the phloem sieve tubes in the stem, as movement of sap occurs due to mass flow. Answer B. Question 27. The diameter of a tree trunk usually decreases slightly during the day. Which changes in environmental factors during the day could cause the diameter to decrease even more? So diameter decreases due to different factors, and it occurs due to steeper water potential gradient, which is caused by increased light intensity, increased temperature, increased wind speed and decreased humidity. If you go through these options, increased temperature, yes, it causes the diameter to decrease even more. Increased light intensity, yes, but increased humidity doesn't. Therefore the answer is A. Question 28. Which statements about the role of co-transporter proteins in the movement of sucrose is correct? Co-transporter proteins pump hydrogen ions into phloem sieve tubes along with sucrose? No. Hydrogen ions diffuse through co-transporter proteins with sucrose into companion cells? Yes. So the answer is B. Question 29. Which row correctly describes the heart during atrial systole? So systole refers to contraction and diastole refers to relaxation. So when atrial systole is occurring, the semilunar valve is closed. However, the atrioventricular valve is open and the wall of ventricle is relaxed. Therefore, the answer is D. Question 30. The diagram shows a capillary, some tissue cells and a lymph vessel. Which row correctly identifies arrows 1, 2, 3 and 4? So the diagram is given alongside with labels such as the capillary, tissue cells and lymph vessel and some arrows. They are asking us to identify the arrows. So arrow 1 is obviously the diffusion of oxygen. Arrow 2 cannot be the flow of plasma proteins, as plasma proteins are too large to pass across the pores of a capillary wall. Therefore, option B and D is wrong, and the correct answer is option C. Question 31. The table shows the results used to draw an oxygen dissociation curve for adult hemoglobin. What is the percentage increase in the volume of oxygen per gram of hemoglobin when the partial pressure of oxygen increases from 3 kilopascals to 5 kilopascal? Over here we just have to go through the values at where 3 and 5 kilopascals are and find the volume of oxygen per gram of hemoglobin. So at 3 the volume of oxygen per gram is 0.58 and at 5 it is 0.96. The percentage increase is found by the difference upon the initial value into 100. Therefore 0.96 minus 0.58 upon 0.58 into 100 will give you 65.5%, which is D. Question 32. The graph shows oxygen dissociation curves for adult hemoglobin at 2 carbon dioxide concentrations. Which letters show measurements taken in the capillaries of the lungs and in the capillaries of active muscles? In lungs, almost 100% oxygen saturation is there. Therefore, P is represented by lungs. In active muscle, the curve shifts to the right due to presence of carbon dioxide concentrations. Hence, there is low oxygen saturation. Therefore, the option R represents the measurement taken in active muscle. Therefore, the answer is A. Question 33. Which substances can combine with adult hemoglobin and reduce oxygen carrying capacity of the blood? Carbon dioxide can combine with adult hemoglobin, carbon monoxide can combine, hydrogen ions can combine. However, hydrogen carbonate ions doesn't combine with hemoglobin. Since the others do and others reduces the oxygen carrying capacity, the answer is 1, 2 and 4. Option B. Question 34. How many times must a molecule of carbon monoxide pass through a cell surface membrane as it diffuses from an airspace in an alveolus through a cell in the capillary wall into a red blood cell? From alveolus to red blood cell, if you visualize the diagram, it has to pass through the squamous cells, which is 2 membranes lining the alveolus, and cells that are lining the capillary also has 2 membranes, and the red blood cell, which is of 1 membrane. Hence, totally there are 5 membranes which the carbon monoxide has to pass through, hence 5 times. Therefore, the answer is C. Question 35. The heart rate of a person at rest was recorded at intervals over 2 15-minute periods. During the first 5 minutes of the second 15-minute period, the person smoked a cigarette. The graph shows the results recorded during the 2 15-minute periods. So as you can see, the graph is given and the heart rate beats per minute is plotted at the y-axis and the time is at the x-axis. What can be concluded from the result? Obviously, the person who smoked for first 5 minutes, the heart rate rises. Hence, the option is D. The heart rate increases as a result of smoking. That's a conclusion which is taken from the graph. Question 36. Emphysema is a type of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. A person with emphysema has difficulties in breathing out. Why does emphysema cause difficulties in breathing out? As you know, emphysema causes the breakdown of alveolar walls due to loss of elastin. Hence, elasticity decreases. Elasticity decreases means stretch and recoil is affected. Hence, difficulty in breathing out. Difficulty in breathing out is caused when the alveoli is unable to contract and relax. Therefore, the elasticity of the alveoli decreases. Is the correct answer. Question 37. Which factors contribute to outbreaks of malaria after natural disasters? Option 1. Contamination of drinking water with untreated sewage. That is wrong, as contamination of drinking water is related to cholera. Option 2. Lack of effective vaccination coverage in the population before the disaster. That's correct. Option 3. People living in overcrowded accommodation. That's also correct. So the answer is D. Option 2 and 3. Question 38. There are two main classes of antibiotics, broad spectrum and narrow spectrum. Broad spectrum antibiotics affect a wide range of bacteria, while narrow spectrum antibiotics affect specific types of bacteria. Which uses of antibiotics may result in antibiotic resistant bacteria? Option 1. A broad spectrum antibiotic given to reduce the effects of influenza virus. Influenza virus, since they are targeting a specific virus, it should be narrow spectrum instead of broad spectrum. Therefore, option 1 will lead to antibiotic resistance. Option 2. A broad spectrum antibiotic to treat Mycobacterium tuberculosis in humans. Again, Mycobacterium tuberculosis is a specific type of bacteria, hence should be given a narrow spectrum. So if you give a broad spectrum instead of a narrow spectrum to treat specific ones, it will result in antibiotic resistant bacteria. Therefore, option 2 is also going to result in antibiotic resistant bacteria. Option 3. A narrow spectrum antibiotic to treat diarrhea and sickness in cattle. That is also going to result in antibiotic resistant bacteria, as diarrhea and sickness should be treated using broad spectrum. Therefore, the answer is A, 1, 2 and 3. Question 39. People with the autoimmune disease myasthenia gravis can have a treatment to relieve the symptoms. In this treatment, one of the components of their blood is removed. Which blood component is removed? Myasthenia gravis is caused due to antibodies failing to distinguish between self and non-self antigens. Hence, antibodies should be the main component that should be removed. Otherwise, if antibodies are not removed, it will continue to attack the body cells and muscles, causing muscle weakness due to failure to distinguish between self and non-self antigens. Hence, the answer should be option A, antibodies. Question 40. Why are spleen cells fused with myeloma cells during monoclonal antibody production? Myeloma cells are able to divide continuously, whereas spleen cells cannot. Therefore, in order to result, hybridoma cells that can reproduce indefinitely or a multiple number of times. Therefore, the answer should be option B. That's the end of the paper. Hope you all found this video useful. Please do comment and let me know which MCQ papers you would like me to do next. Thank you for sticking by. Enjoy your day.